So what happens when two third-generation Arizona women authors who are passionate about their state start talking about experiences, insights, and memories of different places? They don't stop talking. They write a book, and then they start a podcast. Welcome to Celebrating Arizona with Julie Morrison and Lisa Schnebly Heidinger. Grab your favorite drink and settle in. We're celebrating Arizona, going everywhere from A to Z. And we're off.
So, where are we going to go today?
So hello. Yes, I have a destination in mind, and we will go to northeastern Arizona.
Okay,
For
northeast.
me.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep.
Took my dyslexic brain a second.
Yes. Let's see. So, well, we'll go there first and then have a couple of tag backs in central and southern Arizona. But first, the northeast for me. Which
Okay.
direction are we going for you?
Pretty much due north.
Okay. Today, I am taking us to Hawley Lake.
Hawley, and not H-O-L-O-Y, but H-A-U-W-L-E-Y.
H-A-W-L-E-Y. Yes, Hawley Lake.
Did not know growing up. I always pictured Hawley Lake. Fa la 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 la.
Oh, right. As in the holly and the ivy.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So Hawley Lake is on Apache land south of Highway 260 between Pine Top and Greer. And first, you need to know that I haven't been there for almost 30 years because we had a cabin there on land leased from the Apache tribe. And when I was starting high school, they didn't renew leases anymore.
Oh.
And so some people moved their cabins, which was really something to see, and somehow like got them onto the backs of semi-trailers.
Yeah.
Onto flatbeds. But we did not. We drove away from it, and if
Did you
I
take
ever
the
knew
dishes
the
and the
address, I've
pictures and
long
the-
forgotten it.
Wow. Did your china and quilts come with you, or did you lock the door?
Yes, we took some things out, and then we left some other things that were just kind of unique to the cabin, and that we didn't necessarily want any place other than that.
That's very poignant. That reminds me of I don't know if you ever heard the Kenny Rogers in the first edition, The Ballad of Calico, a 2-album rock opera about a real ghost town called Calico.
No, I'll have to find it.
And the last song, Close the Windows and the Doors, Calico Silver is No More. It's very elegiac, and you just spurred that. That must have been some drive. So you were 16, 17?
I was just starting high school. So figure 13-ish.
Wow.
And I haven't been back. My father and my sister have gone back. And the first time they went, they said that everything was just how we left it, even years later, like down to the bath toy that we called Sam the Clam.
Oh my gosh.
The second time they were there, the roof had caved in. And so who knows what, but it was, for a while anyway, it was just itself. But the reason that it is still a very important place to me is that it is the first place that I encountered wild animals sort of live in real life.
Nature.
Yes, in nature. Yes, in their natural habitats. I mean, herons and hawks and eagles and deer and black bears, but most often and most memorably, beaver. And there was a beaver family that had a dam down the lake to the right and a lodge down the lake to the left.
Wow.
Yeah. And in the winter, we could even peer through the poles of the lodge and see the beaver family inside. And so Hawley Lake is the one place I have seen a beaver lodge. I have seen beaver animals at the Sonoran Desert Museum in Tucson. And
hence our little jag down the road.
Yep, down the road. Yes, to where I know you can see beaver in Arizona is at the Sonoran Desert Museum. And I have heard and confirmed that there are beaver on the Salt River. you can see them best at dawn. And of course, it was just a touch after dawn when when I was there, even with the birders. And so I don't know that I will ever see beaver in downtown Phoenix
But
for
you
that reason.
could, and that's the important thing.
But they are there, or they
Ah.
were at least earlier this year. And so we know that they are still, in the wild in Arizona. And
Larry/Daddy used to hear them on Oak Creek when he was a kid. His dad had built a rock house down by the creek they lived in for some period of time, and he would wake up and hear the slap of the beaver tail on the water. And they abandoned Oak Creek, and I thought it was temperature related, but obviously that wasn't it.
I don't know. Somehow or another.
Interesting.
Yes. So somehow or another, beaver made their way to Central Phoenix and are still there.
How
Which
about
is
that?
yeah. Unlike there used to be burrowing owls on the north side on the north bank, west of the bridge, and there were these marvelous little pipes that plastic or PVC that I don't know who, maybe the Audubon Center had installed as habitat for these burrowing owls. And they were there. I know I saw them there in 2015, sometime between 2015 and now. They are not there anymore. It just got a little too busy. Yeah. So Hawley Lake. Hawley Lake as a version of itself. So admittedly, I should add the disclaimer that it was as I experienced and filed it in memory. And so I suppose it is a fair question as to whether it could exist for anyone else in the world in quite that way.
I think that's part of what we do. Harkening back to last week and where you get on the archaeological bus, I think that, and I've probably said this to you before, all of us are given certain puzzle pieces. And if we hold on to them, they don't ever get to be a part of somebody else's puzzle. But if somebody else knows Hawley Lake and they, for instance, Larry always pointed out, and I dated one guy, Ed Lawler, who knew this as well, that Hawley Lake was frequently the coldest temperature in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what they knew about Hawley Lake. That's their thing. So now, thanks to you, Larry and Ed Lawler, I have one more thing about Hawley Lake. It's frequently the coldest temperature, or was at one time, Arizona, and there were beaver. So I think by putting the puzzle pieces out, we give people a chance to build their pictures into more complete scenes.
Yes, that's right. I would love if there are listeners who know it well, who have been there. I'd love to hear stories about wildlife encounters there for you.
Wonderful idea. Yeah. We had talked about going, and you had some cautious interest, and then, as I remember, thought, I don't want to ruin it. I'm just going to leave it perfectly preserved.
Yes,
the way it was.
That's right. So there we are. So we've gone from the Northeast, and then at light speed went to.
But can you imagine if we had to take real time? Okay, folks, check back in about 6 hours. We'll be in Tucson by then.
Yeah.
But yes, so now we will go due north. I talked at great length last week about Mike Schmidt, my Channel 3 photographer, and have had the occasion to be with Mike in Flagstaff since you and I were last together face to face. And we were reminiscing fondly about some of the great stories. And so these are even more unseeable than Beaver at Hawley Lake, because he has gone on to the next level, the gentleman I'm about to tell you about. But he does fill in a puzzle piece of a bygone era. Have you ever heard of Chief Yellowhorse?
Just the title of your book.
Okay. Chief Yellowhorse Lives On. Very good.
Yeah.
So he was actually, you know how people will have a turkey for Thanksgiving, and then they'll make turkey tetrazzini, and then they'll make sandwiches. And Chief
turkey
Yellowhorse
nachos
was,
in my case. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, that sounds better. He was a story that kept on giving. Mike and I ran across him kind of by accident. We were in the Northern Arizona Bureau, 1989-90, driving somewhere, and I never saw Burma shave signs when I was a kid, but apparently they were like big and red and yellow, and they would have a rhyme. So you'd see a sign and it would say, if you're thirsty, have a care. And then you'd see another sign that would say, bad drinks are anywhere. And then another, and it would be Burma shave. Obviously, that was not the rhyme. That's horrible. But they were ongoing, keep the motorist interested signs. So
Okay.
we're driving along. There are red and yellow signs, and one of them is "Buy from nice Indians." And Mike and I look at each other, and then we see Chief Yellowhorse hurt you, loves you, and we're reading. And then there's my favorite, because it was such a broad, clearly making fun of itself sign, was "We take 'em a MasterCard."
Oh my
And
gosh.
then we passed this roadside establishment with a teepee. And then we got "Come back, you missed us." And so we were on our way somewhere, but when we finished shooting our story, we went back basically to say, what the heck? Because
Yeah,
now,
right.
first of
Yeah.
all, this was years before there was any awareness of anything like appropriation. It was
Sure.
it was a very different world. It was wild
Hmm.
and woolly, and I was afraid that it was just some white guy who was trying to capitalize on the Dene culture, but it was not. Chief Yellowhorse was full-blooded, absolute Navajo, and had Indian trading in his bones. His mother, he said, before I had adult teeth, his mother
Oh,
would sell
jeez.
jewelry by Interstate 40, and he would run
Okay.
back to the house and get change for her. So he grew up in the culture of being a Navajo selling wares to tourists.
So can I check in on
Yeah.
location here for a second? So are we on the I-40 corridor here?
Well, right
Where
now
the
we're north of Flag because we had
Okay.
driven, it was just past Cameron, if memory
Okay.
serves.
Okay.
But
Okay.
he
Got it.
had stands, I think 3 across I-40, and then
Okay.
this one up by the on the way to, US 89, going north to Utah. And he was absolutely delightful and absolutely unrepentant. And I said, "What's with the teepee?" And he said, "You whites, you're always telling us to be enterprising and pull ourselves up." And he said, "Tourists don't get hogans. Teepees, hogans are subtle. Teepees, they understand we're Indians." And Mike and I are like, whoa. So we ended up going back, shooting a story with him. And then later I wrote a column about him in the Arizona Republic. I had an Arizona correspondent op-ed column. And then I wrote a piece for Highways. So he just kept getting, more of
Yeah.
familiar and more of a friend. He had brothers. Sheesh worked with him. But when he had started, and he was Juan Yellowhorse. Chief
Okay.
Juan Yellowhorse. His
Okay.
brothers Fred and John started with him.
So
And we're
can I
like,
ask, was
Juan.
chief a title or a name?
Chief was an honorific.
Okay, it was an
His
honorific.
his
Yep.
son said because he was such an important part of Towering House Clan that
Okay.
he had been given that. Now, your guess is as good as mine, but that's at least what he told his son, and his son told me.
Okay.
So all we have now is the word of a man who has passed on that the Towering House Clan gave me that title.
Okay.
So we don't know. But what I loved was Juan, John, and Fred. And again, we're puzzled. And he laughed and he said, "Yeah, that confuses you whites. To you, Juan is Mexican for John. To us, it's 2 names." And we thought, okay, of course. He was just so lighthearted, and he was selling his family's and friends' wares
Mm-hmm.
at very high prices to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that meant he was making his people money.
Mm-hmm.
So letting go of everything like a teepee, really? He was doing a very good thing. It was just a really mind stretching way to go about the business of providing objects to tourists. And I do not
Yeah.
think they make people like Chief Yellowhorse anymore. I think once he's gone, he's gone. It would be interesting to know if any of our listeners ever saw Chief Yellowhorse, or say, "Oh, he's on YouTube and I see him all the time." I've never even looked for him on YouTube. It would be fun to hear his voice again. I should do that.
Well, I'm so
But
happy to learn about him because ever since I saw the title of the book, what I haven't done is what I haven't done is ask you about, so who was that and what is the story? And so now, Christmas comes early for me. I get
oh, Christmas will be much more exciting than that, I
Yeah,
promise.
I get it. Okay, what Easter, whatever. Easter egg.
Well,
that
you
I
know
didn't
what?
even ask for. Yeah.
I talked us right through a break. We'll break and do coffee mug.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds
see you in a
great.
sec. We are proud to welcome our newest sponsor, Discover Flagstaff. They run the Flagstaff Visitors Center, the old train depot, which has been recognized by Phoenix Magazine as the best visitor center in the state. They have a really good staff. They have a wonderful gift shop. People there will help you plan itineraries. And there's a coin-operated model train that is billed as great for the kids, but I've seen a lot of adults who enjoy it too. Stop by the Flagstaff Visitor Center.
Okay, and we're back. We made it back.
We made it back with a coffee mug. The mug of the day, which is on our celebratingaz.com website, always as soon as the show ends. And this is a brand new one to add to the collection, which, God bless Tom, he should have rolled his eyes when I said, I got a mug. He's like, you have 200 mugs. You brought another mug into this house. But that little train depot in Flag had it, and it's the Santa Fe System lines. So it has the iconic chief of some type from the old Santa Fe logo, serving the West and Southwest, historic train depot, Flagstaff, Arizona. And since partly I thought, okay, how do I link that to Chief Yellowhorse? And I thought, well, the tracks parallel I-40 where his other stands were, and that's a good enough link to make it work. Luna was not happy just now. I heard her protest.
She did. Yeah, she is. Well, it hasn't been the Luna show for at least 20 minutes, and so this cannot be in Luna's
Hey, baby
world.
girl, we heard you. You're acknowledged.
Speaking of chiefs. Okay. Yes.
We have a question.
We have a question, yes.
For you and our listeners. And there's no way to say pick the best because I would dither all day and all night. So what is one of the live performances you have been glad that you saw?
First thing that came to mind was the Eagles.
When was this?
I was 1995.
Oh my gosh. So that was their first time that was when they got back together?
Yeah, it was a big deal that they were getting back together to tour.
Oh. And for what it's worth, we didn't break up. We just took a 14-year vacation. That was the line.
And here's the thing. I knew a few of the songs. I didn't know the band, the lore, the stories. I just knew sort of this is a legend, and if you can get tickets, go. And I think they were at Sun Devil Stadium.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And I think I was in the rafters. but it was and I remember that because I think I either got their names wrong or mispronounced them as I recounted the concert to others. And
you mean like people at school who gave you grief about it?
Yeah, well, who just how was it? And I la 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 la, and then realized that I was saying names wrong.
So wait, just to get this straight, the legend reunites. It is a moment in rock history that will never be forgotten. But what you remember is that you embarrassed yourself. Sure. That is such a profile of human behavior, isn't it?
I'm like a 16-year-old high schooler. Basically your whole world, it just only extends as far as your emotional range, which is pretty self-centered at the time.
Well, and that's what it's supposed to be. We're building who we are at 16.
Eagles, 1995.
Wow. Well, I was Rolodexing through a couple of this. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and, for the first time on this show, give the same answer. Because Tom and I saw them only, 3 years ago? It was mid-pandemic, and they did the Hotel California tour.
I remember that.
And it was
so
the first
excited you got to go.
We'd been around people. We were like, oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of us here. Yeah. And I know I have quoted to you sometimes to keep it together, you've got to leave it alone. And I don't know why fortune smiles on some and lets the rest go free. Yeah. And I said to somebody just the other day, I actively appreciate that Don Henley is still alive. once a week, I think, I'm so glad Don Henley's still alive, because someday he probably won't be, and it's just going to make the world dimmer to me. So I try to, honest to God, enjoy that he is still alive. I don't think he'd be a fun friend, but I think his contribution to music, or at least my music, is outsized. And getting to actually look at the heads that built the world, that Linda Ronstadt sang Desperado, and our intern from the Channel 3 Bureau, again, drinking game, drink every time I say bureau, Dawn Appleton Reed, went to the concert. She was 20 when I was 32, so she was a child. Well, you were a child too, but anyway, she said she cried through the whole concert, because as young as she was, those songs were still that important. And to actually watch the people who made the songs sing the songs in the same space you are is huge. Just huge, huge, huge. And then I will just give an honorable mention to the Mavericks, because
I've seen them.
You've seen the Mavericks?
Yeah, I have, in Austin.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, when I saw, okay, so this time I bet I saw them before you, because as a matter of fact, it was 1995. They were the warm-up group for Mary Chapin Carpenter when I saw them.
Oh, wow.
The
Would that
warm-up.
be amazing.
And they were
great concept.
so excited to be on a stage that big. They were just giddy. And I think every one of us felt like, oh my gosh, they're enjoying this so much, we're enjoying it that much too.
I saw Rascal Flatts when they opened for Jody Messina in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And they were openers. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's pretty. Yeah. That's fun. So that's my I knew them one story. Yeah.
Well, shall we break and then come back and read stuff?
Let's do.
All right. We have a second new sponsor, the Coogan and Martin Law Firm in Tubac. One more reason to love Tubac. It's such a charming little city, and it has a law firm that truly meets every need an attorney can provide. Real estate transactions, wills and probate, agricultural law, international transactions. They have worked together for decades. They are salt of the earth, brilliant people, and I cannot recommend Coogan and Martin more highly.
Okay. So, hello again.
You going to read to us?
Yes, back for reading. And so I have a poem today that I called A Prayer for the Eager and Busy.
So we're talking about, well, never mind. I'll be
quiet. Yes, good. Yes, you get it. Yes, exactly right. Okay, good. And so queued up. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh Lord, let me swim as the tip of a V, so that others may draft by my design. Chew on supply, choosing the pliant for work, the established for reseeding. Fall and fell, no more than needed to fill a gap, just enough to pool food, skimming, not stopping flows toward downstream needs. Pile the work of days into months of enough. Lodge where entrance and escape converse without interrupting each other. Merely slap a flat surface when threat intrudes on my private quiet. Dive toward safe stillness, depth without the exposure of current churn. Fur until fluffed, effectively pelting cold with a dry warmth. Float the in-between times as though life's architecture is ever a rough draft, subject to life's changes, where nothing is ever built out, so much as building. And there we are.
Wow. You had me at fall and fell. But, oh my gosh, I wanted to have that whole thing tattooed all the way down my arm, so I would never have to walk around without it. That is gorgeous.
Oh, thanks.
I should get a white shirt and just write the whole thing on my arm and wear it once a week, and eventually I'd be able to rattle that off. Now I feel a little frivolous, but that's okay. I can feel frivolous.
And so will you be reading from Chief Yellowhorse today?
I will, yes. I will indeed.
Okay,
because
good.
the end of the story has two men we've just talked about. not only the chief, but also Daddy, Larry. They're both in this.
Oh, yes.
So
Another
this
chief.
That's right. There you go. Yeah. So this is for the third, whatever, I think it was highways that I did last. The next time I went to visit the chief, I took my father, and they discovered that of only a few people alive, they shared memories of living near the New Mexico border around Lupton. They remembered Miller's Cave, now called Yellowhorse Cave since the chief purchased it, and the year the schoolhouse burned and classes were held in a boxcar donated by the railroad. They had both thought a girl named Betty was pretty good looking. Delighted with the shared past, the chief and my father exchanged a light correspondence until 2 years ago when my father's Christmas card generated a telephone call from the chief's son, Scott, with the news that his father has passed away in October. Mm-hmm. So we went back to see Scott, in parentheses, quoting Joe Cody, his assistant. The chief used to say, "Put your helmet on," when we started to work, remembers the chief's assistant and now Scott's, Joe Cody, like we were going into battle. It was all part of a campaign the chief tremendously enjoyed waging, chatting with tourists who still come through asking for him. Scott says gravely, no one can fill his shoes. But I'm not as sure of that. My daughter walks up with 3 cards brightly printed with information about tribes and America. $4 a card seems like a lot to her. Scott smiles and begins to barter. It's what his father would have done. I know they buried the chief near Yellowhorse Cave, but I look up, wishing I could see Juan Yellowhorse watching his son and my daughter bargain. I believe he can, and that he is enjoying it as much as I am. Friendly Indian behind you, Scott Yellowhorse.
How wonderful.
So Scott is... Actually, I believe he has closed down. I will be on that road soon, and I will know for sure, but I think maybe the Yellowhorse Empire is no more.
Okay.
TBD.
But what an amazing moment to have next generation meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really was, especially, yeah, it really, really was. And that Larry was there to see it was pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
Because Larry has moved on, and I've done this with you before, Julie. I now think, okay, so Larry just, that vigorous step he had, he would almost, there was a spring in it, very purposeful. And he has gone off now to find Juan Yellowhorse because in heaven you can just find everybody like that. And he is explaining to Juan, so you remember Lisa? Well, now she and Julie. Yes. And because Larry is so excited, now Juan is fully engaged. And now I think they are both watching, because if that's what I were in heaven, that's certainly what I would do right now.
I think part of heaven has to be being able to take a tour of other people's heavens. Because I don't know that it would occur to me that everybody can find each other. Anyone that you'd ever wanted to meet. I don't know that would ever occur to me.
Oh, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
The first time Rye was talking about Percival Lowell, and I remembered being up there on Larry's 75th birthday and finding the notation. We didn't find it. The guy that worked there, Kevin, did, where Clyde Tombaugh had noted that this actually had been Pluto. And as Rye and I discussed it, I said, Larry has trotted off to find Percival Lowell and is explaining all of this, including you volunteering at Lowell and the employment, with so much enthusiasm that Percival himself is finding it fascinating. And
fabulous.
I really, really think that.
So this is lovely. Yes. So I get to meet Chief Yellowhorse because you took a minute. And be back to go everywhere from A to Z with us next time.
Nice. Oh, cue the theme music and out. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'd really like to hear from you about anything this show led you to think about. Write to us at celebratingaz.com. The wizard behind making a conversation into a podcast is Tom Heidinger. The music comes from Daniel Blatney. And I'm Dana Cooper.